Hello and welcome from Costa Rica. My name is Steffen Key and I'm super excited to present you the new Shamanic Atmos FX Rack that I just released. And I thought in this video I wanted to give you some ideas on how you can use it and show you some tips and tricks and put a little bit into context and perspective, and also just show you how it sounds and how it works basically. All right, so first of all, what is an effect rack? Basically it is a drum rack like this thing here, and it contains in total 128 samples. And if I want to trigger them, I can click play and then it will play. And then you can hear them, right? So we have in total 128, and you can go up here either with the cursor from your keyboard, like going up and down, to switch between the different 16 pad view, right? You can go up and it always will display 16 pads. And you can also create a MIDI clip. Double click on this channel here will create a MIDI clip, and then you can also see them all here go up and down in the piano roll. And if you activate this headphone symbol, you can trigger them and listen to them. So the idea of this effect rack is to use it mainly. Oh, there we go, there's another sound. Ooh, nice. That was a long sample. So the idea is basically that we can use this effect rack. I created it actually for live performance and DJ sets. And I will put the sounds into context, because this is then how you can really feel them, shine. Because the idea is to use them either for intros or outros or transitions, right? If you like performing and you go from one section in the track to the next one, or if you're DJing and you are in the break and you just want to add some atmospheric, jungle, shamanic, ceremonial vibes to the track or to the set, then you can do that. And so yeah, let's put some sounds in context, like to see how it would sound in a way that you could use it. For example, so I will go to my DEEP SHAMANIC JOURNEYS template in the browser here, and just to get some pads, maybe let's check out the drones, and maybe let's check out the pads, and also maybe some nature sounds. So this way we can create like a sort of intro vibe, like how we could start a track. So for instance, let's put a nice drone. Maybe we start with a jungle drone. Let's see how that sounds. It's already pretty nice. And maybe let's add some nature sounds. Let's see the jungle ambience. Yeah, that's beautiful. Something like that. So imagine this is the beginning of the track or of the set, and we can use now this effect rack either by clicking with the mouse on those play symbols, right? But ideally MIDI controller, you know, something like this here. Let me turn on the camera. So if I show you, like, this is a launchpad mini, and this will actually trigger the drum rack. So whenever I hit one of those pads here, we'll play one of the sounds. And that's actually pretty convenient. So if you have like one of those handy, I would recommend you to use it, or like a push, or like a piano, pretty much any MIDI controller, because those samples, they are mapped to notes, right? So if you see here, I hover over this jungle effects, and then you see at the very bottom left, I don't know if you can see it, it's very small, below the Shamanic Atmos FX, it says C2, which is the note value that will trigger this sample, right? C sharp 2 will trigger the jungle effects, and so on, all the way up to E8. Ooh, wow, that's super high octaves. So yeah, that is one option. So you could play with the MIDI controller, but there's also another very interesting way that we're gonna get into, that I'm going to show you how you can work around with that, and it's actually pretty interesting. If we look at the parameters here that we have, that we can use for altering the sounds, we can actually play with them and automate them, and I will show you that in a second. So let me just get rid of this. All right, so maybe let's say I have like this scene going on right now, right, with the drone. I don't know if it's loud enough. Maybe I turn it up a little bit. And the nature sound stopped already. Probably they were not looped. Nope. See, if I set it to loop, then it's actually gonna repeat. So we have the jungle ambience, imagining we're in the jungle in Costa Rica, which I actually am. And if I turn this off, then you could actually hear the real ambience if I turn the mic high enough, because that's exactly what I hear every night. And that's just on the side. So we have that, and now let's have a look actually at some of the sounds. We go through them, and then I will show you what I've created here in this instrument rack and how to use those macro controls, because each of those knobs here, or let's say I would call them parameters, they are altering the sound in a certain way. So those are the jungle effect sounds. Those are like kind of swoosh sounds. Right? And any time you trigger one of those sounds, it's basically just to add like some more atmospheric vibe to it, or like if you want to emphasize something, or yeah, if you just want to create this beautiful, mystical, jungly, shamanic feeling. This one is whoa, powerful. Right, so we have all those effect sounds, swooshes, those are perfect for transitions. And we have the Fujara, which is, I think, a Bulgarian flute or something. Very interesting sound as well. Sounds almost like a creature. All right, so I think it's a good moment now to introduce those macro knobs here. So let's start at the top, right? So we have brighter and darker, and what this is doing, it is basically like an EQ, a shelf EQ, where you can create the sound darker or brighter. So for instance, if I turn this darker, then you will hear, right, it's taking a lot of the high frequencies out. And you can especially hear that in the metallic effects. And when I make it brighter, okay, there was actually not so much high frequency content. Maybe let's check this one. Yeah, exactly. So if I make this brighter, it should be a lot brighter. Yeah, exactly. The more high end and right. So you get the idea. Very interesting here. That's the balance, which is kind of the panorama. So you can move the sounds left and right, right? Like if you want to alternate or like, you know, go from one side to the other. You will only be able to hear that on headphones. But basically, like if it's in the middle, then it's in the center, then it's full stereo on both sides to the same degree. But then you can put it more to the left or more to the right. And I thought that's very interesting to have the sounds moving a little bit. Okay, let's go up. So now we have the rainmakers, very beautiful. Also for transitions or just, you know, to create this feeling of washing away no longer needed energies or thoughts or whatever, like in kind of like a meditative state. It's really, really helpful, or in any situation where you just want to cleanse. The rainmaker is really good, the water is cleansing, so yeah, beautiful. And now the space, which is basically like a reverb, and we have the dry wet of the space. So this is actually how much of the reverb signal will be sent, right? So now it's a lot of space, a lot of reverb, and at the moment the reverb's tail is like 4 seconds, which is a pretty decent reverb. Of course you can go longer. So if I go like to 10 or whatever, 9. Right, it's super long. Where like 0 is like super wet, no reverb at all. And then you can increase it and play with the reverb size, depending on how large you want to be the space that the sound is being reverberated in. Alright, so that is the space, the reverb, and then we have the echo, right? And the echo is like a double effect, which will just repeat the sound like an echo. And again you have the dry wet. Right, so now it's kind of repeating a lot. And let me check, maybe it's also the feedback at the same time. Yeah, so it's the feedback and the dry wet at the same time. So the amount of repetitions and basically like the intensity of the level of the repetitions will be controlled with that, right? So from subtle echo, something between 20 and 30, up to like a very long, very intense echo. And then you have the beat also of the echo, which is basically synchronized, and it's changing those values here, the note values. So if we go right, so now it's like on 8th notes and very long repetition. And then what we also have, because this delay has a filter, we can filter the delayed signals. So we can take out some of the high end, right, make it a little more darker. Or we can use it if it's like on the highest frequency here on 18 kilohertz. We can go all the way down here. Right, and then filter it out, especially if we go like that. So it's going from low to high. Can play with that just to color, you know, the sound and make it more interesting. All right, and that is the filter width here, which basically is this area. So now you can see it's not much frequency that is left. So all this is cut out, and this is the only thing that we will be able to hear. So if we go like that, 5, and you see like this amount is what we are going to hear. And this is the frequency, basically, the filter frequency. So if we move that, let's say if we put it like that, and everything, like a lot, you know, only this will be filtered out and this will be audible. So there's still a lot of the original sound coming through, so you can play with that. And yeah, those are pretty helpful, just, you know, to color the sound and also in the performance, to add some variation and get variety. And at the same time, it is helpful, of course, you know, to have a MIDI controller, but I'm going to show you now something that is really interesting and helpful, to be able to use those things as an effect, right? And this is by using clip automation. And let's change up the sound a little bit. I think it's beautiful and meditative, but maybe let's just find another drone for now. Oh, maybe let's check this one. And a different nature sound, just to mix it up a little bit. Maybe not those guys. A bit harsh. Yeah, let's put some water here. And yeah, let's put the birds. Let's see. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, yeah, and as you can already see, like if you own the Deep Shamanic Journeys template already, or the other one, the DOWMTEMPO Shamanico, you know, like this is the perfect add-on to it or upgrade, and totally like included. But if you don't have it, then of course you can use it still without it. This is, as I said, just to put it into some context and how I use it in the performances with the template. All right, so let's go quickly through the sounds before I show you the clips and the automation in the clips. So we have like the leaves here rustling, beautiful organic shaker sound, pine cone shakers, and these ones I really like a lot, the wood percussions. They imitate like creatures like frogs and stuff, you know, it's like indigenous instruments that imitate the sound of the swamps in the jungle. Beautiful, just atmospheric percussions, really nice. Put some more reverb here. Yeah, and then we have chimes, beautiful, fairy, magic. And then we have maracas, more like a rising effect, different variations of it. Again, for transitions or in breakdowns or in general, just again like a cleansing effect, or like altering the consciousness, getting into a state of meditation, relaxation, out of the mind into the heart, kind of intention behind it. Big shaker, different iterations of that. And then, oh yeah, like ocarina, super beautiful. I love to start a set with the ocarinas, you know, it's just like this kind of invocation, introduction. So there's big ones. And then there's like bird calls. Beautiful. And then there's high ocarinas. Also birds. And then we have actually real birds. Ah no, those are also the whistles, the bird whistles, beautiful. So you can see, right, the indigenous people, like they were imitating the sounds they were hearing. How beautiful is that, to honor the connection to your environment and to be in connection with nature. And that's exactly the intention behind this, you know, to establish this bridge again and realize the nature within, and yeah, just cherish and honor and celebrate this beautiful magical expression of creation. And the swamp birds, they are real bird sounds, heavily affected. And then we have some swoosh effects. Drum fills, breath sounds, heavily processed. And then we're almost at the end. Hape, blow. I don't know if you know what hape is, but it's basically some sort of shamanic snuff that is a mixture between like tobacco and different plant parts, grinded like super fine and treated with a lot of care and sacred intentions, basically singing and praying for days and days with this powder, and that is used with an applicator, usually made of bamboo or something. You blow it up in your nose, in the nostrils, and depending on the intentions, you know, like it is also to cleanse and to connect with nature and to get rid of toxins and to get a clear mind. It's a really powerful medicine, and this is how it sounds if you blow it. Different pitches. So yeah, and then we have some shamanic sounds with the pan flute, so it's like kind of like a ritualistic moment. Turn down the reverb a little bit. Right, so you have the authentic shamanic ceremony vibes to get like really deep into the trance. And yeah, all this is also probably expressed with the intention of cleansing, getting rid of the negative energies and the demons, and purifying the heart. Okay, so those are the sounds, and now let's have a look actually how we can use those sounds and create like a clip automation, so that we can actually create our own template out of it, so to say, right? So because if you have like certain tracks, you maybe like certain sounds, and then you can just create a template, and then also you don't need to have a MIDI controller necessarily. And it also works really well if you are like producing a track, and you can use it in the same way. So as I said, you just create a MIDI clip, and you can right click, create a MIDI clip, or you can double click, and it will just create one, and you're in here. So what I would suggest, we create like a 4-bar long MIDI clip. We don't need to loop it, because those are more like one shots, which means they are meant to play once and then they stop, unless you want them to repeat, but I wouldn't suggest it, because then it kind of loses the purpose a little bit, because they're meant to be one shots here and there, occurring but not repeating all the time. So let's say we want to start with the jungle sound here. So all I need to do now is I set the grid to 4 bars, and I can double click, which will create a note. So now I have the note, and as you can see, it's in this clip. So I can rename this, Command R, and then I go like Jungle FX 1, and I put this down and this up. So now what I can do, I can go in here, and this is the automation mode. Right now I see the envelopes, and the cool thing is I can click on anything. Let's say we want to increase the reverb over time, right? So I click on space and go in here, and then you see it's already selected. If we go here, it says the device, right? The Shamanic Atmos, and here it's the space. Perfect. So this is the one that I just clicked on, and you can see this is the envelope representing the modulation over time. Basically how the knob is going to turn. Right now it's at its default position. If we check, it's at dry wet, you can see 28%. So if we increase this, I click a point here and another one here, right? So now I have 2 points, and I can click and move this one up, right? So I could go to, let's say, 69 or something. And now what is happening is over time of the 4 bars, the reverb will increase, and you can see that here already in the echo, in the space, right? So if I click now, you see it moving. Okay, so that was not quick enough, so let's go more like yeah. I want another one maybe here, and then have it go up until 60, and then maybe go down again, because it's a very short sample. Like 4 bars is a bit too long. I want it to really like increase quickly. As the sound increases, I want the reverb to increase. So let's have a listen again. Right, so you can see and hear how the reverb was increasing and still going down. And this is a short sample, so in this case you wouldn't probably need all of this. So we could set the grid to 1 bar and then make it maybe like a 2 bar beat. Loop. Not loop, but clip. And so let's do also automate the panorama from this one. So I go from left, maybe 24 left. That's the starting position, right? So I'm in the same clip here. We already have automated the reverb, the space. So you can see where there's a red dot. That means there's an automation. If I see here, right, the space, that's also what we have automated already. But now I want to automate actually the balance, which means the panorama, right? So it's called balance here, and that's the panorama. So start at left and we go to the right. So let's see. Now it should be moving from left to right while it's swooshing. Okay. So that was not obvious enough. I need to make it shorter, and maybe it's just 1 bar. So let's do like that, moving faster. Yeah, that's more like it, right? So you can imagine you can automate anything, you know, like you could even check the filter. You could increase the echo. Let's see how that sounds. So now we go to the echo, and we go up to 60 or something. Again here. yeah, I think you get the idea, right? So you can create as many as you want, basically. So now you could select a different sound. If we go out of this automation mode, we go back into the piano roll, and we can just choose another sound. Maybe we like the Rainmaker, you know, and then we just choose this one. And I believe this one is longer, so we can make it 4 bars. Maybe turn the loop off, go all the way to the back here, and then we just rename that Rainmaker 8 was the name, but you can give it any name you want, basically. But so the idea is then that you can create your own clips, right? If you don't have a MIDI controller, or if you feel a bit overwhelmed with the 128 and you want to use them really specifically. And so yeah, in this case it's helpful if you create your own clips, and then you know, okay, so if I play this one, it's a Rainmaker. And of course you could automate all kinds of things in here again and get like really creative, make it darker and brighter, or increase the reverb, or move it around. Of course, moving around would make a lot of sense in general to create this feeling. It's moving around your head, right? Have this more immersive experience. Yeah, and you could just go on like that, create as many as you want. You know, also you could have just one with Rainmakers only, right? So if I guess you can just duplicate it, right? And then it will create like an identical copy. And here you could have all your Rainmakers, and here you could have all your jungle sounds. So you could just go down with Rainmaker 7 and then rename that into Rainmaker 7. And this way you could create like your racks. You could rename that Rainmaker. And you could rename that Jungle Effects. And this way, you know, you can just duplicate it, Command D or Control D, and then just move them around. Go up like this with the keyboard. If the note is highlighted, you can just go up and down and move the notes. So that's really easy. And then you can create those channels so you know exactly what there is and when. And this might be helpful if you don't have a MIDI controller, and if you want to work with automation, it's definitely cool to use it in order to make it more interesting and get the most out of it. Alright, wow, it's already 30 minutes again, so I think that's it for now. I hope that was clear, and I hope you enjoy using those sounds. And yeah, you can find it on the website, on my Harmonic Resonance online store, among many other templates and sounds and sound journeys and all the beautiful tools that are created with the intention to raise the vibration. And I thank you for sharing this intention and for raising the vibration with the work that you do using these tools and other tools. And yeah, I'm sending you lots of love and blessings from Costa Rica. See you in the next video. Bye bye.